Welcome back to the deep dive. This time, we're going to take in a journey into the hidden world beneath the surface of software.
Oh, yeah.
The fascinating realm of binary analysis.
Sounds good.
You've sent us a selection of excerpts from Practical Binary Analysis by Dennis Andriesse.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got to say, even just glancing through it, my curiosity is piqued.
It's really like having X-ray vision for software.
Oh, wow.
We're going beyond just those lines of pretty code,
Yeah.
diving deep into the raw machine instructions,
Oh.
the ones and zeros that actually make the computer tick.
Before we even talk about tools, I'm already a bit lost.
Okay.
How does a program, something written in, let's say, C++,
Mm-hmm.
transform into this mysterious binary executable that a computer can actually run?
So it's like a multi-stage factory process.
Okay.
Imagine your C++ code as raw materials
Okay.
entering an assembly line.
Right.
The first stage compiling
Right.
transforms that human-readable code into a lower-level language called assembly.
Okay. Think of assembly as a set of instructions that are closer to what the CPU understands.
Okay, so assembly is like a bridge between my world of like high-level code
Yes, eh.
and the computer's world of ones and zeros.
Exactly. Then comes the assembling stage where that assembly code is converted into actual binary code.
Mm-hmm.
The ones and zeros the CPU can directly execute.
Okay.
Finally, the linking stage brings in any external libraries or functions the program needs,
Right.
packaging everything into that neat little executable file.
So it's not just one magical step. There's
Mhm.
this whole pipeline of transformations happening
Yeah.
behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes, exactly.
The book uses a Hello World program as an example,
Right.
showing how it changes at each stage.
Uh-huh.
And there's this thing called assembly language,
Yes.
which looks almost human-readable, but not quite.
Learning to read assembly is like deciphering a secret code.
Oh, wow.
It's a bit cryptic,
Yeah.
but once you grasp it,
You can understand exactly what the CPU is doing at each step,
wow.
which is incredibly powerful.
All right, starting to see why binary analysis is so powerful.
Yeah.
But once we have that binary, that executable file,
Yeah.
how do we actually start dissecting it?
Right.
The book mentions a process called disassembling.
Okay.
And I'm picturing someone carefully taking apart a watch to see all the tiny gears and springs.
That's a perfect analogy.
Okay.
Disassembling is like reverse engineering a complex machine.
Mm.
We use specialized tools, think of them as digital screwdrivers and tweezers,
Okay.
to break that binary down into a slightly more human-readable form,
Right.
revealing those machine instructions.
So we're basically working backwards,
Yeah.
trying to understand the machine's blueprint from the finished product.
Exactly.
It sounds intense.
It can be, but also incredibly rewarding.
Yeah.
Imagine understanding a program at this granular level.
Uh-huh.
You can see how it handles data,
Right.
its flow of logic,
Yeah.
and even pinpoint potential security flaws.
Speaking of security flaws,
Yes.
the book mentions something called Capture the Flag challenges.
Yes, CTFs.
These challenges sound like a digital treasure hunt,
They are.
where you analyze a program to find a hidden flag.
Exactly.
What role do they play in binary analysis?
CTFs are like boot camps for binary analysts.
wow.
They force you to think creatively and apply different techniques.
Okay.
You'll use tools to map out the program's logic, understand the control flow, how data is manipulated, and
Mhm.
ultimately exploit vulnerabilities to capture that flag.
That's where this gets really interesting.
Yes.
If we can use these tools to uncover vulnerabilities,
Right.
hackers can too.
Of course.
The book talks about manipulating a program's memory.
Okay.
And I immediately thought about those infamous buffer overflows I've heard about.
You're spot on.
Yeah.
Manipulating memory is like playing with fire.
Okay.
If you don't know what you're doing, it can be disastrous.
Right.
But understanding how memory works, how data is stored and accessed, is crucial for both defending against attacks
Right.
and, unfortunately, for those who want to exploit vulnerabilities.
It's starting to feel like a constant arms race between those building defenses and those
Yes.
trying to break them.
Absolutely.
The book also talks about something called dynamic analysis,
Okay.
which sounds like a completely different approach.
Yes.
It involves actually running the program and observing its behavior right.
Exactly. Think of it like a detective trailing a suspect.
Okay.
With dynamic analysis, we're watching the program in action,
Right.
monitoring which functions it calls,
Mhm.
what data it reads and writes,
Yeah.
and how it interacts with the operating system.
So with static analysis, we're studying the blueprint.
Yes,
And with dynamic analysis, we're observing the machine in motion.
exactly.
This is giving me a whole new appreciation for how much complexity is packed into software.
And what's truly remarkable is that we're only just scratching the surface.
Wow.
The book goes even further, talking about building your own analysis tools. There's this concept called instrumentation,
Okay.
which essentially means adding extra code to the program to track what it's doing.
Hold on. We can actually modify the program itself to gather more information.
Yes, you can.
It's like installing a surveillance camera inside the machine.
Exactly.
What are some of the things we can track with this instrumentation?
It's incredibly powerful. Imagine being able to track the exact path of data
Okay.
as it flows through the program.
Wow.
This technique, called taint analysis,
Hmm.
is crucial for identifying vulnerabilities like data leaks
Right.
or potential points of manipulation.
Wow, this is going way beyond anything I could have imagined.
It's a fascinating field.
It's both fascinating and a bit scary to realize just how much we can uncover
Yeah,
by digging into the binary world.
absolutely. And the journey is just beginning.
Okay.
The book delves into even more advanced techniques.
Right.
But before we go there, let's take a moment to absorb what we've learned so far.
Yes, a mental break is definitely needed.
For sure.
We've traveled from the familiar world of source code to the intricate realm of binary instructions.
Right.
And it's clear that there's a universe of knowledge hidden within those ones and zeros.
Absolutely.
We'll continue our deep dive into practical binary analysis in part 2,
Good.
where we'll uncover even more powerful tools and techniques.
Looking forward to it.
Welcome back to our binary adventure. I'm still processing everything we've uncovered so far.
Yeah. It's a lot to take in.
It's amazing to think that beneath those lines of code we usually work with,
Right.
there's this whole world of machine instructions governing everything.
And we've only just begun to explore the tools and techniques that
Yeah.
allow us to peek into that world.
Yeah.
Practical binary analysis really emphasizes not just using the tools, but understanding the why behind each method.
Yeah.
It's like becoming a detective, gathering evidence to understand the true nature of a program.
We left off talking about how instrumentation can help us track data flow
Right.
within a program.
Yes.
But the book also mentions something called code injection,
Okay.
which sounds a bit ominous.
Yeah.
Is this something malware uses to infect systems?
Code injection is a double-edged sword.
Okay.
It can be used for both good and bad purposes.
Oh, okay.
In the hands of a malware author, code injection allows them to insert malicious instructions into a perfectly legitimate program,
Right.
effectively hijacking its functionality.
Wow.
But security researchers can use the same techniques to analyze malware,
Okay.
patch vulnerabilities, or even enhance the security of existing software.
So it's like a master key that can be used to open any door,
Exactly.
depending on the intentions of the key holder.
It's a powerful tool.
The book gives an example of a tool called elf-inject
Mm-hmm.
that can inject code into ELF binaries,
Right.
those executable files common in Linux.
Yes, very common.
It sounds like it actually modifies the binary structure
It does.
to accommodate the new code.
That's right. Elf-inject is like a skilled surgeon, carefully modifying the binary's headers and sections to create space for the injected code
Right.
and ensure it runs seamlessly.
Okay.
It can even change the program's entry point.
Redirecting the entry point.
Yeah.
What does that achieve?
By changing the entry point, we can force the program to execute our injected code first
Okay.
before running its original instruction.
Oh, okay.
This is incredibly useful for tasks like unpacking malware, which often hides its true code,
Right.
or even for redirecting the program's execution to a debugger
Okay.
for more in-depth analysis.
Okay, I'm starting to see how powerful this technique can be,
It is a very versatile tool.
both for understanding and potentially manipulating a program's behavior.
Yeah, you can do a lot with it.
But the book doesn't stop there.
Of course not. There's so much more to cover.
It goes on to discuss custom disassembly.
Right.
Why would we need to go beyond the standard tools like obdump?
Sometimes we encounter code that's designed to be intentionally difficult to understand.
Okay.
Malware authors, for example, often use obfuscation techniques
Okay.
to hide their malicious intentions.
So they're trying to be sneaky.
Exactly. They don't want us to know what they're up to.
And that's where custom disassembly comes into play.
Exactly. We need specialized tools
Okay.
to deal with these tricky situations.
So we might need to write our own tools
Sometimes.
to handle unusual instruction sequences,
Right.
unpack that obfuscated code, or deal with binaries that have been stripped of their symbols.
Exactly. It's like solving a puzzle.
Oh, okay.
where some of the pieces are missing or deliberately rearranged.
So it's like those escape rooms where you have to solve a series of complex puzzles
That's a great analogy.
to find the key.
Yes, you need to think outside the box.
Standard disassembly tools might not be enough,
Sometimes they just don't cut it.
and we need to create our own specialized tools to crack the code.
Exactly. You need the right tools for the job.
That sounds incredibly challenging.
It can be, but it's also very rewarding.
The book introduces a library called Capstone,
Oh, okay.
which seems to be a popular choice for building custom disassemblers.
It is a very powerful library.
What makes it so special?
Capstone is like a universal translator for machine code.
Wow.
It supports a wide range of processor architectures, from the ubiquitous x86 to the increasingly popular ARM, allowing us to disassemble code from different platforms using a consistent set of tools and APIs.
So it's like having a Swiss Army knife for disassembly.
Exactly, one tool for many tasks.
Equipped to handle different types of code.
Right, and it's very efficient.
The book uses Capstone to build a custom disassembler that can deal with obfuscated code.
Okay.
Specifically code with overlapping instructions.
That's a tough one.
That sounds like a real brain twister.
It is. Overlapping instructions are a tricky obfuscation technique.
Right.
Where one instruction is embedded within another, making it difficult to identify the correct boundaries.
So it's like trying to read a sentence where the words are all jumbled up.
Exactly. It's hard to know where one instruction ends and the next one begins.
But with Capstone, we can create a custom disassembler
Right.
that can detect these patterns and correctly interpret the code.
It's like having a special pair of glasses
Okay.
that allows you to see through the obfuscation.
Like a detective piecing together clues to solve a complex case.
Exactly. You need to be very meticulous and pay attention to detail.
It's amazing how creative both malware authors and security researchers can be.
It is. It's a constant battle of wits.
Constantly trying to outsmart each other.
Absolutely. They're always trying to one-up each other.
The book also uses Capstone to build a tool called a ROP gadget scanner.
Oh.
What are ROP gadgets?
ROP stands for Return-Oriented Programming.
Okay.
It's a powerful technique attackers use to bypass security mechanisms, like code signing and data execution prevention.
And why would we want to scan for them?
Think of ROP gadgets as small, seemingly harmless pieces of code that already exist within a program.
Okay, I'm following so far.
They're like puzzle pieces scattered on a table.
Harmless pieces of code.
Right, on their own. They might do very little.
What makes them dangerous?
But a skilled attacker can chain them together,
Okay.
creating a sequence of instructions that can do their bidding.
So a ROP gadget scanner is like a tool that helps attackers,
In a way, yes.
find those weaponized puzzle pieces.
Exactly. By scanning a program's code,
Okay.
the scanner can identify potential ROP gadgets that an attacker might be able to exploit.
So it's like giving them a blueprint
It's a bit like that, yes.
for how to build their attack.
It helps them find the weak spots.
This is getting pretty intense.
It can be a bit overwhelming.
It's fascinating, but also a bit unsettling to realize just how vulnerable software can be.
That's the nature of software. There are always vulnerabilities.
But it's also reassuring to know that researchers are developing tools and techniques
Absolutely.
to understand and mitigate these threats.
That's what we do. We try to stay one step ahead.
It sounds like practical binary analysis is equipping us with the knowledge and tools
It's a great resource.
to join that fight on the side of the defenders.
We need all the help we can get.
We've explored disassembly code injection and even custom disassembly.
We've covered a lot of ground.
Now, the book shifts gears
Okay.
and dives into binary instrumentation,
Right.
which seems like a more proactive approach.
It is. We're not just observing anymore.
You're right. With binary instrumentation, we're not just observing the program.
Exactly.
We're modifying it to gain deeper insights or even alter its behavior.
We're taking a more active role.
The book distinguishes between two types of binary instrumentation,
Okay.
static and dynamic.
Right.
From what I understand, static binary instrumentation
SBI.
involves modifying the code before it's run,
Right, like modifying the blueprints before you build the house?
while dynamic binary instrumentation does it on the fly during execution.
Exactly, like making changes while the house is being built.
The book mentions that SBI tools often use a technique called trampolining
Yes.
to redirect the program's execution.
That's right.
It sounds like something out of a circus.
It's a clever technique.
How does trampolining work in the context of binary analysis?
Imagine setting up a detour on a highway,
Okay.
redirecting traffic through a toll booth
Right.
where we can inspect vehicles, collect data, or even change their cargo.
Okay.
before letting them continue on their original route.
So trampolining allows us to intercept specific parts in the program.
Exactly.
And essentially insert our own code
Right.
to gather information or even alter the program's behavior.
Precisely. It's a very powerful technique.
Okay, so trampolining is like setting up checkpoints within the program.
Yes, you can think of it that way.
What about dynamic binary instrumentation?
Right.
The book introduces a framework called PIN for this purpose.
PIN is a great tool.
How does PIN work?
PIN is a powerful framework developed by Intel that acts like a real-time code translator. It intercepts the program's instructions as they're about to be executed and can modify them on the fly.
Wow.
Inserting calls to our instrumentation code, changing data values, or even altering the program's control flow.
So PIN is like a puppet master.
In a way, yes.
Controlling the program's every move as it dances on the stage.
He gives you a lot of control over the program's execution.
What are some of the things we can achieve with this level of control?
The possibilities are vast. The book provides an example of building a code profiler using PIN.
Okay.
Profilers help us understand the program's performance characteristics, identifying bottlenecks and potential areas for optimization.
So with instrumentation, we can measure how long each function takes to execute,
Exactly.
how often it's called,
Yes.
and even which branches of code are taken most frequently.
You can get very detailed information about the program's behavior.
It's like having a detailed performance report for every part of the program.
It's a great way to find performance issues.
This is just one application of DBI.
There are many others.
The book also demonstrates how to build an automatic unpacker for malware using PIN.
Right.
Okay, unpackers.
Yes.
You mentioned earlier that malware often uses packers to obfuscate their code.
They do it to make it harder for us to analyze them.
Why is unpacking so important for security researchers?
Packers are like those shrink-wrapped packages you find in stores.
Okay.
They make the product smaller and more compact.
Right.
Can't really see what's inside until you unwrap it.
So malware authors use packers
Exactly.
to compress or encrypt their code,
It's all about hiding their malicious code.
making it difficult to analyze statically.
We need to unpack it to see what they're up to.
So an unpacker is like our trusty box cutter,
Yes, a tool that helps us reveal the truth.
helping us remove that shrink wrap and reveal the malware's true contents.
Exactly. We need to see what's hidden underneath.
How does instrumentation help with this?
Automatic unpackers use instrumentation to detect when the malware has unpacked itself in memory during execution.
So we're waiting for the malware to reveal itself.
In a way, yes.
Once that happens, we can dump the unpacked code to disk
Right.
and analyze it using our standard tools.
Exactly. Then we can finally see what the malware is doing.
It's like waiting for the thief to reveal the stolen goods
Yes.
before apprehending them.
It's a bit like that.
This whole field of binary analysis feels like a constant game of cat and mouse,
It is.
with both sides trying to outsmart each other.
Absolutely.
We've covered so much ground already.
It's been a long journey.
Disassembly, code injection, custom disassembly,
And we're not done yet.
static and dynamic instrumentation.
There's still more to come.
It's incredible how much we can do by digging into those binary bits.
And the journey is far from over.
Okay.
Practical binary analysis continues to guide us deeper into this world,
All right.
revealing even more powerful techniques for understanding and manipulating software.
I'm ready for the next stage of our adventure.
Me too.
We'll pick up where we left off in part 3 of this episode, exploring even more advanced tools and concepts.
It's going to be fascinating.
Until then, keep those binary bits flowing. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're in the final stretch of our binary analysis adventure, guided by the wisdom of practical binary analysis.
It's been quite a journey.
It's amazing how far we've come from deciphering assembly language to wielding powerful tools like GDB and PIN.
We've covered a lot of ground.
I'm starting to see software in a whole new light,
Oh, yeah.
like a complex machine with intricate gears and levers
That's a great way to think about it.
that we can now understand and even manipulate.
And that's what makes this book so valuable. It's not just about learning a set of commands.
Right.
It's about developing a deep understanding of how software works at the binary level, the challenges involved, and the different approaches you can take to analyze and even modify its behavior.
When we left off, we were just starting to explore the world of symbolic execution.
Right.
And this framework called Triton.
Triton is a very powerful tool.
It seemed like a whole new level of analysis, almost like predicting the future,
It's a bit like that, yes.
by considering every possible path a program could take.
Symbolic execution is a powerful technique, but it can also be computationally demanding.
Yeah.
I can imagine. The book uses a great example of applying Triton to a technique called backward slicing.
Okay.
Can you remind me how that works again?
Backward slicing is like playing detective.
Okay.
But instead of tracing a suspect's movements, we're tracing the flow of data through a program.
Right.
We start with a particular value,
Okay.
like the contents of a register, and work backward through the code to identify all the instructions that could have influenced that value.
It's like rewinding a movie.
Okay.
See how a particular scene came about.
It's a valuable technique for understanding data dependencies.
Absolutely.
And identifying potential vulnerabilities.
You can find some really nasty bugs that way.
The book shows how to use Triton to perform backward slicing on a binary.
It's a great example. It's like asking the question, what series of events led to this specific outcome?
Exactly. You're trying to trace the root cause.
The example in the book even involves setting up symbolic variables to represent user input.
Yes.
Which is mind-boggling to me.
It's
as if Triton can analyze
a powerful concept.
How those hypothetical inputs would travel through the program and which instructions would contribute to the final result.
That's the power of symbolic execution. It allows us to reason about the program's behavior without having to execute it with concrete values.
So instead of actually running the program, simulating its behavior.
You're exploring all the possible paths.
Using these symbolic variables.
Right, and that gives us a much deeper understanding of how the program works.
So backward slicing helps us trace the origins of a particular value.
Yes.
But the book takes things a step further, showing how to use Triton for something called exploit generation.
Right.
That sounds a bit dangerous.
It can be if it falls into the wrong hands.
What exactly is exploit generation?
Exploit generation is the process of automatically creating code that can exploit a known vulnerability in a program.
Okay.
It's a powerful tool for security researchers.
And why would we want to do it?
Because it allows us to quickly and reliably test the severity of a vulnerability and develop appropriate mitigations.
But isn't that a bit like giving bad guys a recipe?
It's a double-edged sword, yes.
For how to break into a system.
That's why it's important to use this technology responsibly.
Couldn't this technology fall into the wrong hands?
That's always a risk, but the benefits outweigh the risks.
Okay.
The goal is to find and fix vulnerabilities before attackers can exploit them.
The book walks through an example of using Triton to create an exploit for a program with a specific vulnerability.
It's a good example of how to use Triton for exploit development.
It sounds like it involves defining constraints that force the program to execute a particular sequence of instructions.
Exactly. You're guiding Triton towards the vulnerability.
Ultimately triggering the vulnerability.
You're setting up the conditions for the exploit to succeed.
It's like setting up a chain reaction.
That's a good analogy.
Triton analyzes the program's logic, identifies the conditions that must be met to reach the vulnerable code. And then generates input values that will satisfy those conditions, triggering the exploit.
It's all about finding the right sequence of events.
It's incredible how Triton can reason about the program's behavior at such a deep level.
It's a very sophisticated tool.
And automatically create the precise input needed to trigger a vulnerability.
It takes a lot of the guesswork out of exploit development.
It's both fascinating and a bit scary.
It's a powerful technology that should be used with caution.
Symbolic execution and constraint solving are powerful tools.
They are revolutionizing the field of binary analysis.
That are transforming the field of binary analysis.
We can now analyze software in ways that were once unimaginable.
They allow us to analyze software in ways that were once unimaginable.
Exactly. We're pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Uncovering vulnerabilities and generating exploits with a level of precision and automation.
And it's only going to get more powerful in the future.
That was previously considered science fiction.
It's an exciting time to be in this field.
This deep dive has been a real eye-opener.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
We've explored so many powerful techniques.
We've covered a lot of ground.
Disassembly, debugging, code injection, instrumentation, taint analysis, and now symbolic execution.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg?
It's like we've unlocked a secret language.
It's like learning to speak the language of machines.
Allowing us to see into the soul of software and understand its deepest secrets.
And with that knowledge comes great power and responsibility.
For those listening who are inspired to explore this world further, what advice would you give them based on what we've learned from this book?
First and foremost, cultivate a deep curiosity and a genuine passion for understanding how things work.
Okay.
Binary analysis is not a quick and easy field. It demands patience, persistence, and a willingness to embrace complexity.
It sounds like having a strong foundation in computer science fundamentals is essential.
Absolutely. A solid understanding of computer architecture, operating systems, and programming languages will serve you well in this field.
Right.
The book provides a great starting point, but don't be afraid to dive deeper into these topics as you progress.
The book also emphasized the importance of selecting the right tools for the job.
Yes.
And understanding their strengths and weaknesses.
Every tool has its limitations.
It's not just about knowing how to use a tool, but knowing when to use it and what its limitations are.
There's no one-size-fits-all solution.
And perhaps most importantly, the book encourages a mindset of continuous learning and experimentation.
That's the key to success in any field.
The world of binary analysis is constantly evolving.
It's a never-ending journey.
With new techniques, tools, and threats emerging all the time.
So stay curious. Stay hungry for knowledge.
Stay curious. Keep experimenting and never stop learning.
That's the best advice I can give.
This field is a constant challenge, but the rewards are immense.
Absolutely. The knowledge and skills you gain are invaluable.
You'll gain a deeper understanding of software, develop valuable skills,
and make a real difference in the world.
And contribute to making the digital world a safer and more secure place.
That's what it's all about.
This deep dive has been a truly transformative experience.
I'm glad to hear that.
I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective on software.
That's the power of binary analysis.
And the amazing complexity hidden beneath the surface.
It's a fascinating world waiting to be explored.
Until next time, keep on exploring, keep on learning,
and keep on diving.
And keep on diving.